Okay, now we'll do the section on password digest within the Web Application Security chapter. So what we do here is we modify the way in which we store password information in the database. Instead of storing the plain text password, we're going to we will take a digest, which is an irreversible mapping of a string to another string. We'll store an irreversible mapping of the password, called a digest, in the database, and use that to do the authentication. So if someone breaks into the database, they don't just get people's passwords. So here we need to this is one way to do it. We create a secure digester here. This will be under publisher data. Let's go ahead and do that. And there it is, secure digester. And let's get the essence of this here. Paste that in. Take a quick look at that. I don't want to go into too many details. So here's the class, and here's an array of digits. These are hexadecimal digits, 0 through F. And we have defined this function. It takes a byte array and returns a string. So what we do essentially is we get this array of bytes and we encode it into a string, which is comprised of these digits, these hexadecimal digits. And then there's a digest function. This is what's called when we want to compute. Well, we have the plain text password, and we want to map it, figure out what is the digest for that password. So we call digest, and it ends up invoking this byte array to hex string at some point, and it returns the string, the digest, as a string. And this is a main. We put a main function in there just for to get the digests of different strings. So we pass in the string as an argument on the command line. That'll be args0. Then we call digest. Store that in password. Then we call digest, pass in password, and we print that out. And that way we can populate our database with sample data. Alright, so I do some explanation. Now here's the login servlet. The login servlet has to do something a little bit differently. And we need to modify the login servlet. Basically, when we get the password, we pull the password out of the request object, and we get the password from the user. We check it. First of all, if it's null, then we don't have any. Someone has not passed in the. Perhaps there's a hacker or whatever that's trying to play around with the servlet. So we check for null on that. And then otherwise we digest the password, call digest to get our password digest, and then we check to see if the password digest is it matches with what's in the database. So let's go ahead and fix that. So that's in the web application. It's in the login servlet. There it is. So here's do post. This is where we get the password. This is where we pull the username out. We check that. This is where we get the password. And we have some alternative code now. Here it is. So this is our alternative code. We pull out the password. So we're basically not going to use this anymore. Delete that. And just going to clean everything up. There we go. And this secured digester, we'll need to import that one. This is our class that we created. Save that. Let's go back and look at the book. Now, we don't have digest stored in the database, so this is not going to work as it is. So we need to, in fact, insert those in the database. Here's the password for admin. And this is explanation of how to run this this file, this main. So the digester, which is here, right here. I want to run this main. So let's see how we do that. I'm just going to play it by ear here and see how to do that. Well, let me explain where we're headed here. In the database, when we do this insert DB, this password now will not work. We have to pass in the password digest. So the digest of main, admin is still the password. Now we need to paste in the digest. Now I knew that because I got it from the web page down here. But what about Alice and Bob? So we're going to need to generate the digest for those two values. So we do that by running main, passing in as the first argument Alice in the first case and Bob in the second case. Then this main will print the value of that password after passing it through the digest function. So then the issue is just how do we run that? How do we run that file? So here's a secure digester class. Just going to just follow my nose here. And look at this. This is run as. I'm going to go into run configurations. And this will be a Java application. I'm going to right click on that. I want to say new. So now what we're doing is we're configuring. This is called a run configuration. This is a specification. So you can have any number of run configurations. An individual run configuration is a specification about how to run a particular program, which needs to have a, in our case, the Java application needs to have a main method. That's the entry point. Java applet will have different entry points. We'll have a main method. So this is, it was intelligent enough to guess that this is the class that has the main function in it. This is the project, and now the arguments is here. So we're going to put in Alice, and I'm going to apply that, although that's not necessary. But this is the program arguments. Remember the way we wrote main, that the first argument is the password. So I'm going to run that. There is in fact the digest of Alice. Copy that. Put it right in there. Paste it. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with Bob. So go back up to the run configurations. Here's run configurations. The arguments. Let's go with Bob this time. And run that. This is Bob. Paste it in there. Now we'll need to rebuild the database, so we have to run this build script again. And run as and build. Just check everything. No error messages. That's good. So now these values are now in the database. And let's see. I think we're at a point where we can test. We should still be able to log in. Let me, we didn't change any, well, just to be on the safe side, let's stop and start again. But I don't think we needed to do that because we didn't modify the we didn't modify the web XML file. I'll log out here, and let's try logging in with Alice. There we go. We're in. Good. So that completes the section on password digests.